And of course, Tim Walz and Kelly, the senator, who is part of the seditious six, the astronaut. And things are really going down in a good way. So I want to cover all of that and a few other things on the program. Welcome. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. And if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free, 888 465 2631. 888 465 2631. I want to start with Mark Kelly, and then we'll get into Tim Walz. You know, Mark Kelly is a real lowlife. I mean, there's just no getting around it. Mark Kelly he's a really bad guy. And, you know, the thing about Kelly, he got involved. He's never been good, okay? I mean, he's never been good. But he got involved with the CIA with this video trying to cause a military coup and a military uprising against the commander-in-chief of the United States, Donald Trump. And out of all of the people that were in that video, members of the House and senators, he's the one that's in trouble because he's a retired U.S. naval captain. And because of that, he is still beholden to military justice. And military justice is coming. And he's in big trouble. It came down today. We got some insider information from Jack Posobiec and Steve Bannon, which I'm going to share with you in just a moment. But the official release from Pete Hegseth and from the Pentagon, the War Department, is that he is going to be reduced in rank. You know, and they can reduce him. They could reduce him to any officer rank. They could reduce him from captain to commander, or they could reduce him all the way down to ensign. And Kelly's reaction has been to quadruple down on his attacks. And, you know, he's a very arrogant guy. Him and his twin brother. He was a fighter pilot in the Navy. He's an astronaut and all this stuff. And he's a United States senator. And he's very full of himself. And he's a lot like Maduro was in court today. Maduro in court, in front of this 92-year-old Clinton-appointed judge. He's like, I'm the president of Venezuela, da, 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 da. You know, a lot of arrogance. He didn't understand Maduro, where he was, and what kind of trouble he was in. And it made him sound nuts, didn't it? Well, that's how Kelly was today. Kelly has no idea how much trouble he is in. And what he did was so far over the line. I got a couple clips. Both of them are from the War Room with Steve Bannon. The first one is Bannon himself, and then I'll share with you Jack Posobiec. Oh. Yeah. Now, you know, what I'm really hoping is that the demotion will take place right away. And then when he has to show up for court, he has to show up in his dress uniform, and he has the whatever rank they demote him to is on the uniform. I hope that just automatically happens. In fact, Pete Hegseth doubled down and did confirm that he is only a captain for now, that he is going to be demoted. So this is Jack Posobiec. And remember, Jack Posobiec and Steve Bannon are both former naval officers. Jack Posobiec was with Naval Intelligence. Okay, so there's more, and I'll play the rest of it. But so it does sound like, from what Jack Posobiec's reporting here, and he spoke to the War Department Pentagon spokesperson, and he's going to be demoted and then go through this court martial. So when he goes to court martial, he is going to not be a captain. He'll be whatever rank they demote him to. Butterbar is an ensign. And for those that don't know, that's the lowest enlisted rank. Oh my goodness. Could you, the thing with Mark Kelly, his, this guy, he is very arrogant, very full of himself. And if he had to show up in court at any lower rank, that would just he would be physically ill. He would be so humiliated. And this video of him is crazy. Listen, look at this. This is former naval captain. We don't know what his rank is yet. But you know Pete Hegseth has already decided. This is former naval captain Mark Kelly. Oh, okay. This is so. What does that mean? Donald Trump served in the military, as did his family, for the same amount of time as President Biden, President Clinton, and of course President Obama. So, are they lesser people? I mean, and what any of you ever watch the movie Starship Troopers or read the book Starship Troopers? Remember in Starship Troopers, and he's talking right out of Starship Troopers. To be a citizen, you had to be a veteran of the service. So the only people that are citizens are people that have been in the service. And if you haven't been in the service, you're a lowlife. Well, go talk to President Obama, President Clinton, and President Biden about that. Or you know what? You know who served? Hunter Biden. Remember they kicked him out for testing positive for cocaine like his first month in the Navy? He got in avoiding basic training. He tested positive for cocaine. This guy, former captain, naval captain, Mark Kelly, is a freaking loon. Oh, enough resume there? That's right. Okay. So, yeah. Yes, I'll answer your question. Yes, you're a jerk. Um, and the thing with Mark Kelly, okay, the deal with Mark Kelly, um, I don't want to take away anything from anybody who served in the military, okay? Because I respect our servicemen and women, and of course our veterans. However, um, you know, so far as serving honorably, I'll tell you a couple things about Kelly. We'll go in reverse with what's going on here. Everyone who gets in trouble, right, and serves honorably, and then gets in trouble, and then all of a sudden serves dishonorably, which he's been doing since he joined this CIA Seditious Six video. Okay, I don't want to take anything away from his service up until that point. You served honorably until you didn't. And just because your daddy and your great granddaddy and you and your brother, served and you've been in the outer space, doesn't mean you get a free pass to work with the deep state to try to start a military coup against the President of the United States. You served honorably until you didn't. And he's got this attitude, Mark Kelly, that because he's been in the service and been to space, that somehow he is above the military code of justice, that other members of the military and retired military have to live by. You see what I mean? What I told you, that he thinks he's a special person? He does. He thinks he's a special person. And another thing that I'd like to point out, Mark Kelly, the only and this is there are certain people that are this way, okay? John F. Kennedy served in the Navy, naval lieutenant, and I know people will question him and everything else, but let me see if I have this book within arm's reach. Hold on a second. Let me see if I have this book. Hold on. Yeah, I do. I want to show you. There's a book that I got years ago. It's a very good book about President Kennedy that you all should get, An Unfinished Life. It's a bug killer. I call books that are really thick bug killers. It's a bug killer-sized biography of President Kennedy. And you can see it's well-worn and well-read. I've read this book twice. And a lot of it is about him in the Navy. And President Kennedy served very honorably in the Navy. And regardless of what happened, what he did on PT 109 was amazing, saving his crew. And because of his back pain, yeah, he saved them. I mean, and the things he did to save his men will blow you away. I mean, President Kennedy was a real life superhero. And even before the incident with PT 109, the pain that he lived with, that he suffered through to serve, was pretty phenomenal. And you guys should get this book if you have any interest in presidents or anything. An Unfinished Life, and it's a very, very good book. And I keep it here. I got a bookshelf where the books I always keep. This is one of them. But anyway, John F. Kennedy, he there have been some people that have tried to model themselves after Kennedy in a way. John Kerry and Mayor Pete, and I'm going to put Mark Kelly in this boat too. John Kerry and Mayor Pete were both mentored and recruited by the Kennedys for politics. So they joined the Navy so they could have the military veteran status so they could run for political office, okay? That's the only reason John Kerry and Mayor Pete joined the Navy, like President Kennedy, and they were both lieutenants. In fact, the Swift boat is kind of like a PT boat with John Kerry. And John Kerry, do you know, I was not in Vietnam. I was 4 years old when the war in Vietnam ended. But do you know how much longer John Kerry was in Vietnam than me? He was in Vietnam 3 months longer than me, all right? And he just went there to get the status, just like Mayor Pete. Well, that's what Mark Kelly did. Mark Kelly didn't join the Navy out of some sense of love of country and great patriotism. He knew it was a stepping stone to where he's at right now, being a United States Senator. John Kennedy served with honor. I don't want you to think I'm talking about President Kennedy that way. That was but many of these Democrats, Mark Kelly, John Kerry, Mayor Pete, I'm sure there's others, they model themselves with this naval history so that they can try to be what Kennedy was. And I didn't know John Kennedy, but this guy's no John Kennedy, okay? And if you get that reference, if you don't, do some Googling, you'll get a chuckle. But this guy is a lowlife and a scumbag. And now the courts martial, that's an unknown because, Kelly goes to courts martial, and I don't know why they call it courts instead of court martial. I don't know why there's an S there. I don't know why it's plural courts martial. I don't know. Do you know? But when he goes to court martial, he'll have a jury. And the jury will be people that are of his rank and above, and we don't know what his rank's going to be. I hope that he goes to court-martial at the demoted rank, and Jack Posobiec going down, down to ensign. I'd like that. That means the jury would be made up of like ensigns and Lieutenant JGs and lieutenants. And, because if he goes in there as a captain, even a commander or lieutenant commander, these are guys that came up through the ranks, many of them during the Autopan Biden era, maybe even Obama era, and they're more likely to be liberal. If he goes to court-martial and he's at a lower rank and the jury is made up of ensigns and lieutenants and lieutenant JGs, they're going to be, many of them, this new wave, not these guys that were doing drag and everything. That, they're going to be people that have come in during the Hegseth era or the Trump era, and you're more likely to get a fair and just verdict, not an activist military jury. But, you go to a jury trial in the military, and even who the judge is, everything's up in the air because, when you get to certain ranks, when you get to commander and above, certainly captain and above, it's all political. So, you could very well have liberal activists on the jury and acquit him. Okay, that's very possible. However, demoting him, as Pete Hegseth said he is going to do, I don't think they're going to be able to reverse that. Okay, so this is absolutely amazing what's happened with Tim Walz, okay? Tim Walz in big trouble. President Trump posted on Truth Social today. Tim Walz dropped out of the governor's race. He's no longer running for governor of Minnesota, and he really should resign from being governor, but he's not running. President Trump, posted on Truth Social, Minnesota's corrupt governor will possibly leave office before his term is up. Oh, that'd be nice. But in any event, will not be running again because he was caught red-handed. This is the president's post. Along with Ilhan Omar and others of his Somali friends, stealing tens of billions of taxpayer dollars. I feel certain the facts will come out and they will reveal a seriously unscrupulous and rich group of slime balls. Governor Walz has destroyed the state of Minnesota, but others like Governor Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, and Kathy Hochul have done, in my opinion, an even more dishonest and incompetent job. No one is above the law. And then also today, let me pull this up. Look at this. This broke today. 2,000 federal agents are being sent to Minneapolis to investigate this Somali operation. So things are not looking good. And we could very well wake up one day and find out that Tim Walz decided to take a vacation to Beijing. Remember, he spent a lot of time in China when he was younger, before he was in government. And he liked to hang out in Tiananmen Square and honor those who oppressed the student protesters. Remember all of that? It would not shock me if we woke up and he was in Beijing, okay? Because many people discussed and believed, and I'm one of them, that he's an agent working with the CCP. He spent too much time up there on the wrong side of things when he was in China. And this guy is, I believe, and I'm not alone in this, is a CCP operator. And he very well could flee. And there's no way that these Democrat politicians are not all getting rich off of all these stolen funds. The money that was taken was not just for the Somalis, okay? They got a lot of it, but these Democrats had to get their cut. I got a couple clips here of Tim Walz. What, really? Nick Shirley broke. Did you see Nick Shirley break in anywhere? I saw him knock on some doors and people answered. He's calling that a break-in? Mm. Okay, yeah, okay. You're welcome. I got a suggestion, Governor Walz. How about we have a forensic accountant look into the finances of you and your entire family and your wife's family and your extended families on both sides? How about that? And then we arrest you. How about that? Is that an idea you're open to? Oh. You know, this is how guilty people react, right? You know, he's accusing Nick Shirley and the president and all the rest that are looking into this as somehow impeding his investigation into corruption. You know, if he were really trying to stop this corruption, investigate it, and bring the corrupt people to justice, he would welcome the feds in to help him since he's been unable to accomplish it. But remember, Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. That's right. It was on Barack Obama's must-read list when he first became president. You ever read Rules for Radicals? When Obama was president, I actually bought a copy of it and read it because everybody was talking about it. I'd heard it, I never read it, but I got it and read it. And I went to actually a physical bookstore. It was a Borders bookstore. And and I'll never forget this in Rules for Radicals. You know what one of the rules are in Rules for Radicals? Accuse your opponent of doing what you're doing. And that's what Tim Walz is doing right here. Nick Shirley's the corrupt one, right? Donald Trump's the corrupt one, right? Kristi Noem, she's the corrupt one. He's trying to get to the bottom of the thievery. This guy is as guilty as the day is long. So why is he dropping out? Well, probably he thinks in his twisted mind, he thinks as clearly as Mark Kelly. He thinks in his twisted mind that if he drops out of the race, the heat will be off of him. And it's never, no, it's not. And I think there's about a 70% chance that he ends up arrested, don't you? We just arrested the president of Venezuela and his wife, and they were arraigned in court today in New York City. So if that can happen, Tim Walz can get arrested too. And he's acting, to me, he's acting like a very guilty man, isn't he? Now, if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call, no matter where you are listening. And if you're watching live, the number is pinned in the live chat, and you can call in. I want to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas and annuities. You know, with annuities, they're absolutely amazing. One, your money is never at risk. No matter what happens in the economy, you don't lose a penny, never, even if there was a Great Depression tomorrow. And you're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life. And there's great annuities too. There's an annuity where on day one, you earn 10% on your money. Day one. So if you invest $50,000 in an annuity, on day one, you make $5,000. Boom. And you're earning income on that bonus. Some annuities, the bonus is even bigger than that. There's many other types of annuities that have all kinds of benefits. Call Joe Thomas, no matter where you're located, and schedule your no-charge consultation and talk to him. He'll put together a custom proposal just for you. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com. Give him a call. Make sure you tell him that Brian Craig sent you. Okay, so Jasmine Crockett, she, her district no longer exists because of the, if you're on hold, stand by. Her district no longer exists because of the redistricting, in Texas, and of course the Supreme Court has upheld the redistricting. And she put out a video today, and she's very upset. She uses some salty language. I want to play this for you. But you can tell she's not doing well. She put this video up online. She didn't do her hair or her makeup, and I wouldn't even recognize her, right? I mean, look at her. She doesn't even look like herself, but she shows what a class act she is. Listen. Wow. Wow, did you hear that? Class act. Hear what she said to the Supreme. I've never heard anyone say that. Yeah. Wow. Wow. I thought the Supreme Court was respected by Democrats. Class act. She's freaking out. Um, listen, there was a time when they came up with, you know, all this redistricting so that African Americans could get elected because, Democrats, the party of the Ku Klux Klan, the party of Jim Crow, the Democrats, the party of the slave owners and the Confederacy, had all these crazy things going on. And you can argue whether or not that was ever a good thing to do. But certainly today, we are in a colorblind era in our society, and there's no longer any need for special drawn-out districts so that minorities can get elected. We've had a black man elected and reelected as president of the United States, okay? And we're beyond those days. One of the leading MAGA voices, Byron Donalds, is very likely to be the next governor of the state of Florida. We're beyond this. And when you look at some of these districts, it's almost like these districts are carved out in such weird ways. They almost go like from one house to the next where there's a black family so that those days are over. We're in a colorblind society. We are living Martin Luther King's dream. And I'm sorry, go out and earn a seat somewhere else and, then you can get elected. But the days of racially segregated congressional districts are over, Jasmine. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's Job for Night out of California.
Hey, what's up?
It's a great day to be an American. Busy, busy days, and the new year just started.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to call, and I can't believe that this Venezuela thing went off so beautifully.
Oh, yeah.
It's an absolute miracle, and it is by the grace of God, of course, but yet, with that being said, it's a powerful message to everyone. It is this issue, I even cannot articulate like what I'm thinking to the fact where the Monroe Doctrine is going to be on steroids. The thought that this whole area that is touched by us is going to end up becoming a semi-harmonious sort of group.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, we would like exemplify, a capitalistic society that has the supremacy.
There's never, I'll tell you, I watched a little while ago, there's a YouTube channel. I think, let me put you on hold while I answer these other lines. I think I put this up in my community section on my YouTube channel. If I didn't, I will later. I saw there's a YouTube channel that does reenactments of all kinds of things, the OJ murder, and they did a reenactment of the taking of Maduro that I watched.
Really?
Yeah, I'll put it in, if it's not in my YouTube community section now.
Can you put it on Twitter?
If I remember, I will, but I'll put it definitely in my YouTube community, which if you subscribe to my channel, you'll see it. And it's interesting. We went up against the anti-aircraft weapons were Chinese that the Venezuelans had. They had Iranian drones, and they had Russian weapons as well. And when they went through this, it's amazing. We defeated, without them being able to get a shot off, we defeated the top weaponry that Russia has, China has, and Iran. They were no match. We went in, they didn't even get a shot off, and we took out the Russian, Chinese, and Iranian top military equipment that they had based in Venezuela. This has had to scare the living daylights out of Putin and Iran and the Chinese. That we have.
Oh, no, not just them.
Well,
Cuba, for sure, and also Colombia is like literally needing a diaper.
Well, absolutely, but what I mean is, like our biggest adversaries, like
I understand.
Iran, Russia, and China in particular, the left always like to present them as superpowers, and our military technology, I believe, is 30 to 50 years ahead of anything they got. They had no. I mean, we just wiped their top technology from all three countries. We just wiped it out and accomplished the mission without any loss of life or equipment, and they didn't even get to return fire. I'll make this video. I'll show you guys this video after the show. I'll put it up so you all. I'll put it on my X, and I'll put it in my YouTube community. It's amazing.
Thank you so much. The thing that I think is just going to be absolutely incredible is the fact that when you actually start to look last year what he was doing in South America, it makes so much sense. We have some excellent relationships with several countries down there.
Yeah.
But some of the fortification that he was doing down there earlier this year, I mean, it's really starting to make sense. He wants to make that area, prosperous. But I mean, with that being said, that also ends up making us prosperous. And
That's right.
Also makes sense it also makes sense of how much people are investing in this country, the billions and trillions of dollars that he's bringing to this country, so that we can be the ones that are exporting all of that stuff to these countries that are going to end up needing assistance in development and infrastructure and what have you.
That's correct. Yeah.
Cuba going down. I mean, if Colombia is going to, he's already told them that Colombia is going to be next, and then Venezuela. Those are opportunities for those countries to end up being prosperous, but it ends up coming to us as
That's
well.
Right. Well, listen, I'm going to move on, but you make some good points, and I'll make that video available so you guys can see it. Yeah.
I have one last question for you because you're a student of history.
Oh yeah.
Is there something that could be created where, not like a UN, but a treaty in regards to all of those countries down in South America and with us?
Well, that's going to happen. President Trump's forming. Okay. It's kind of like the Abraham Accords. At some point, he's going to form some alliance between the United States and these Latin American countries. It's coming. I see it. It's just a matter of time.
Thank you so much, Brian.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care. And I'll tell you this: the way we took out the Russian, Chinese, and the Iranian, their major weaponry. We some of it we had stealth fighters that flew in from our one of our Air Force bases that we have in Puerto Rico. They didn't even know we were there, and we kicked their butt. It's really amazing. I can't wait for you guys to see this video. But all this talk, what if China takes Taiwan? These countries can't take anything. Putin can't even take Ukraine. And we're not even really involved. And, we give military equipment to Ukraine, but we don't give them our top stuff. We give them our stuff from like 93 or something. They're not getting the latest this technology that we use. They're not getting that level of weaponry. They're getting old, out-of-date equipment. But, believe me, these countries around the world, they thought that they were going to be running the world. China, Russia, Iran. And what this taking of Maduro in Venezuela did was show them who the boss is. And the boss, of course, is the United States of America. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Sean from Massachusetts.
Hey, Sean.
Well, what a hell of a way to kick the new year off.
Oh, yeah.
And, Donald Trump, in addition to everything he's done, he's taken the Monroe Doctrine and taken it to another level. We should call it the Don Roe Doctrine, because let me tell you something. This man is changing everything. He's changing the board, everything we're seeing. You look at the people of Venezuela. That's proof enough. Of course, the media isn't going to say anything about this. You got the left wing out there, trading in their Palestine flags for Venezuela flags. They don't know what they're doing really quickly.
Yep.
And their Mexican flags and their Ukraine flags. Mm-hmm. And absolutely, and then you got people that are actually from the region, challenge. I was watching a video of a guy that's from Venezuela asking everyone, who is from Venezuela? Not one person. He says, and you're going to know more about this than me? And no one, these people, this is what they do. And
that's true. That's right. That's right.
It's exactly what we thought would happen, and we're seeing.
Well,
Donald
I don't
Trump
know. I'm very surprised because today is the first weekday of the new year because everything was closed last week. We had this major military action, and even the arraignment of Maduro and his wife today in New York, and the news have really gotten away from it because it's so universally accepted in this country that Trump did the right thing. And it's almost like old news in the news cycle. When I'm watching the news today, I was surprised.
Well, because of Donald Trump, I mean, just news keeps happening. We're not, with Donald Trump, the news cycle has completely changed. He's reshaped the entire world of everything, how information runs. Because every day is an event, and this is an exciting time. And every day is a positive.
Absolutely. All right. Appreciate the call. I can't wait either. I thank you for the call. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, my name is Bream. How you doing?
All right. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to talk about the Venezuela situation. I've been hearing you all talk about that, and I just wanted to pose a question. Don't you think that situations like these cause more migrants in the future? Because it causes those people to not inherently, get their own wealth from their own oil, and therefore they're going to be poor. And then they're going to have to come over here and migrate over here regardless.
Nothing you said is true. No, they're going to be rich. The Venezuelans are going to be rich. Haven't you been watching them celebrate in the streets in Venezuela? Because Maduro, who's a dictator, he was a dictator, right? He has been taking the oil and giving it for free to China and Cuba.
Not exactly for free.
Pretty much. Cuba, it's been...
not exactly for free.
No, excuse me. Cuba has been getting it for free because they've been running Venezuela with him, okay? China has been getting it for like cost or even less. And he and Maduro and his cronies are the ones that have been making all the money. The people of Venezuela are starving. They've been eating dogs and cats. So far as the migrants coming here... The migrants that were coming here were being sent here by Maduro to cause havoc and disruption in the United States. In fact, I see the Venezuela. Let me finish my. Well, why don't you comment? You got a lot of questions. I answered your question. Why don't you comment on my responses instead of moving on to some other question? And I've seen a lot of Venezuelans. I've seen a lot of. Let me finish. I've seen a lot of Venezuelans interviewed that are here in the United States, and they're saying that they're going to go back to Venezuela.
All right. Can I pose a question in pertain to what you just said?
Yeah, we'll see.
Is that more, huh?
Let's see what you got.
Okay. My question is, what happened to country sovereignty? What happened to countries being able to make their own choices? Don't you think that there's a sort of ramifications where if a country that, praises about democracy, country stability, and not taking over places like that, looks down on Russia for taking other places and stepping into places where they have no function of doing, and yet they're doing that. Don't you think that hypocrisy is just going to breed something even worse in other countries?
See, you just don't understand what's going on. But I'm going to tell you right now. No, you don't understand the situation.
But sir, you can't tell me. No, you can't tell me I don't understand because you don't know how much I understand. I don't know.
I can tell by your question that you don't understand. But I'm going to educate you. All right.
What I'm doing is I'm posing light questions because I don't.
But your questions are based on.
I don't want to get you mad.
Believe me, you won't make me mad. Your questions are idiotic questions. Your questions are idiotic questions. I'm going to explain the situation to you, okay? Number one, Maduro is not an elected president of Venezuela. They had an election, the other guy won, and he used his power to stay in power. He's an unelected dictator. That's number one. So there's no democracy in Venezuela. Number two, Venezuela has been attacking us. And killing Americans.
They really haven't.
Yeah, the let me finish. The illegals that he's been sending here that have been killing Americans like Lincoln Riley is a land invasion. Maduro has been.
That was a black man. That was not a Venezuelan. That was
Yeah,
a black man.
no,
That's
it
what
was
I'm saying.
not.
Like, that
No,
has nothing to do with Venezuela.
Laken Riley was killed by a Venezuelan, a Hispanic, not a black man. Okay, so I'm sorry.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I'm 100%. And we have been attacked. We have been attacked through a land invasion of Venezuelans, the Trinity Gang, the MS-13, that Maduro was sending. Plus, he's a drug cartel leader, and 300,000 Americans have been dying every year from the drugs that he's been sending here.
Okay, my next
I got another question. I mean, I'm answering your questions, and then you just move on to another question.
It's not a question, sir. It's a statement. We're having a conversation. I can't rebuttal. Like,
rebuttal. Go ahead and rebuttal.
That's what I'm trying to do. My next rebuttal, however you want me to say it, my next rebuttal is simply that to what point that everybody becomes a bad guy. So what's the next? So like, is it that every target as a bad guy becomes now evil? Because same to my rebuttal. What happened to country sovereignty? Why can't China say Taiwan is bad and China take away Taiwan? If we're doing this, what's stopping China from taking Taiwan?
The difference between Taiwan and Venezuela, which you don't even know the history of Taiwan. Do you know what they call themselves?
I know the history of
really?
Taiwan.
What in Taiwan? Okay,
don't
then prove it
that.
to me. In Taiwan, what do they call their country?
Tell me something.
And if I went
What do you mean? What do they? Yeah, go ahead.
What do they call Taiwan in Taiwan?
I don't speak Taiwanese. I don't know nothing about how they. That's not a question about whether I know Taiwan.
Then you don't. Then you don't know.
Because you asked me.
Then you don't know. What they call it. It has everything. You said the situations are different.
When did
Taiwan.
Can I ask you a question?
You've asked a bunch of questions.
When did Taiwanese secede from China? That's a question.
No.
That's a good question.
Nope.
That's a good question.
No, they did not.
How?
No, they did not. You may have heard heard. I'll answer all this for you. Then I'll explain how it's different than Venezuela. Have you ever heard?
I'll be quiet.
Have you ever heard someone refer to China as mainland China?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why they call? You know
Yes,
why
I
that?
have.
You know where that comes from?
Yes.
Tell me. Why do they call it mainland China?
Because most of them went ahead and migrate over to other places.
No.
While
Nope.
keeping that main, because
Nope.
China is what is it then?
No.
Tell me. What is it?
Taiwan.
What is it?
In
Okay, I'm wrong. What is
Taiwan.
it?
In Taiwan, they call themselves China. Taiwan calls themselves China. It's free China. When the communists took over China, some people left and went to Taiwan. Okay, so they're like what Taiwan is. Taiwan is free China, and what Taiwan is not doing, that Venezuela has been doing to us, they're not attacking China. Venezuela's been attacking us for years through drugs and illegals.
They haven't.
Yeah, the Trinidad de Agua gangs. Yeah,
I think that's an excuse. I think it's an excuse as a reason to why they want to attack.
Oh my goodness!
You don't attack nobody without creating an excuse.
Okay.
They said
listen,
ISIS
I'm gonna move on, but I
was
appreciate
there.
the call. I mean, how long can I talk to a guy who's so uninformed? I'm trying to educate him a little bit because but he doesn't. You know what it is with that guy? He doesn't want to be educated. You know what I mean? He just doesn't want to be educated. He wants to live in ignorance. And if he's educated as to what's going on, well, then all of a sudden, he'll find himself red-pilled. The guy knows nothing about anything, and he has all these strong opinions. And that's what the Democrats count on. You know what Democrats call guys like that? You know what they call them? Low information voters. And if you look at the few Democrats that are out there in the world today, they're either low-life scumbag perverts, you hear some of them call me too, or low information voters like that guy. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, you're welcome to do so. It is only one call per day, I'll tell you that, but you're welcome to call in. The number is pinned in the live chat. It's toll-free no matter where you're watching, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. And you're all welcome to call in. And, I really did want to give that guy some information because, I mean, you know, just so bizarre. I mean, you hear what he said about Lincoln Riley? Oh, my goodness. I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. If you're in the state of Florida and you need roof replacement or repair, call Tom Laporta. He was voted best roofing company in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. That is such an amazing thing because Fort Lauderdale, it's where I grew up, it's where my mom lives, and it is ground zero for hurricanes when they hit Florida. There are probably more roofing companies in Fort Lauderdale per capita than any other city in the United States because of the hurricanes. And to be voted number one, and that, when there's so many, is an amazing thing. And he does incredible work. I've seen many of the roofs that he's done, and calling them roofers really does a disservice because Tom Laporta and his team of roofers are really artisans. They do incredible work. He can handle a job of any size, and he works on every type of structure. No matter where you are in the state of Florida, give him a call. He's a good MAGA guy, and he'll never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, Tom Laporta will do it. His number, this number, by the way, rings directly to his cell phone, so you can also text Tom Laporta, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. You know, I'm really in conflict a little bit on the show, and I would not mind your feedback on this. Throughout my broadcast career, I've always welcomed people who disagree with me to call, and I still do, and I'm very open to discussing the issues and prove my point. I mean, that's what, you know, Charlie Kirk did, right? Prove me wrong. And I've been doing that for over 30 years. But so much of the country has been red-pilled. There are very few Democrat voices out there. And the few that are left, you can't even have a conversation with. It was not always this way. The liberals were always wrong, but it was not always this way. And all that the Democrats have left in their base, at least based on the sample of people that I come in contact with through the program, are people that are just morally reprehensible lowlives that have different types of immorality and perversions going on in their life. Or they're people that are just so incredibly uninformed, they don't know what's up and what's down, like the last guy I was just talking to. And I'm in a lot of conflict on how to deal with these callers. And they don't even want to hear the truth. And if you notice, there's a pattern with liberal callers today. They all have a question. They call in and they have a question for me, right? You've heard it, right? You know they're a liberal right there. They have a question for me. I answer the question. None of them ever respond to the answer I give them. They want to ask another question and then another and then another, because they can't. They're not even interested in hearing the other side. And I'm in a lot of conflict on how to deal with these people so far as how the show goes. But I'll tell you this: the re-election of President Trump has been such an incredible global reset. It's reset and changed everything. Listen to this. This is a press conference right here in my state, Florida. Listen to this. Okay, so what they've done, they have, and this is just a fantastic thing. The state of Florida has arrested over 10,000 illegal aliens at highway checkpoints throughout the state, and these way stations where the truckers have to stop, they're nabbing a lot there, And thank you for the super chat. Who sent that super chat? Was it Melissa K 574? Thank you so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll go back to the phones in a moment. But I've noticed on the Florida Turnpike and I-95 here in Florida, I'm seeing the Highway Patrol pulling over big rigs like I've never seen before. In fact, I used to see Highway Patrol just hanging out, hiding out for their speed traps with their radar guns. I don't see that anymore. I see them a lot, but every time they have a truck pulled over. And you know why they're doing it? They're checking to see if they're illegal. And they've caught 10,000 of them so far. It's really, you know, it's amazing what President Trump has done. See how important a president can be? He has just totally set the stage for so many things, right? Nick Shirley in Minnesota, what Governor DeSantis, even though he betrayed us, and the president, what he's been doing in Florida with the illegal roundups. These are things that would never even been dreamed of happening before. And it's happening. And it's happening every day in this country. We're getting our country back. It's a major reset. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Eugene from North Texas.
Hey,
I'm here
Eugene.
to be educated. I'm a low information voter. I'm going to be educated.
I don't think so.
Suck my cock.
There you go. There we go. I knew it would take a while. Yeah. No. I can't educate you on that. That's not my area of knowledge. The rest of you on hold, hang in there. Oh my goodness. See what I mean about the Democrats? And, you know, and that isn't unique just to this episode. You know, the quality of Democrat out there has changed because there's so few. You know, as an example, you know, the Hispanic vote is now forever Republican, at least for the next 50 years after this Maduro arrest. Now listen to this. This was Fox News today. Okay, now this is Senator Eric Schmidt. He's a Republican from Missouri. And what he's talking about doing is something that no one would have ever even dreamed would be a serious thought. He wants to revoke the citizenship of the naturalized Somalis that are involved in this fraud in Minnesota. He's introducing legislation in the Senate to do it. That'll pass. The president will sign it. And that's something that no one would ever dream would be possible. But you know what? It's not only possible, it's going to happen now. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Teresa once again, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hey, what's up?
You and I spoke before.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so when you tell people to, hey, listen to this, you know, when you're doing your little thing.
My little thing? Okay.
You know, we can't hear anything.
If you're watching on the live stream, I mention this all the time when I'm live streaming.
I am watching on live stream.
Let me finish my sentence, please. If you're watching on the live stream with the green wall behind me, if you go to my main stream on YouTube, you can see and hear all the video that I play. Just go to my channel there, and you'll see the main stream, and you can see and hear all the audio and video that I play.
Okay.
All right?
We'll give that
Check
a
it
try.
out. No, it'll work if you do it. There was an attack late last night on J.D. Vance's home. I mentioned a little bit today. Found out it was a transgendered Democrat. attacked J.D. Vance's home. They tried to break into it. His home in in Ohio, which I think was is it in Cincinnati? His Ohio home. You know, how many of these violent acts around the country have been committed by transgender people in the last couple of years? In fact, it seems to me that when there is an attack, you just assume it's a transgendered person at this point, right? Don't you? Mm-hmm. And there's something going on here, whether it's just liberal anger, whether it's you know, the drugs that they take to go through the transitioning process. I don't know, but I do know this: there is a major problem with people who are transgender, who are committing incredible acts of violence all over this country. Yeah, Charlie Kirk's assassination, the school in Minneapolis. There's a long list, right? The Christian school in Nashville a couple years back. It's really endless. It's go on and on and on. And, you know, it's so strange how things change, right? Like in the days after 9/11, when something happened, you just assumed it was a Muslim Islamic terrorist like Fort Hood. You just knew, right? It was going to be a Muslim terrorist. But in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years when these things happen, you just assume, and you're usually right, that it's a transgendered person, like at JD's house last night in Ohio. There's a problem here, right? Oh, hold on a second. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Scott from Indianapolis.
All right, Scott, what's on your mind?
Well, I just listening in on your conversation about the violence from trans, and I was curious, what can be done about those people?
Well, there needs to be, well, first off, you criminally prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law, but there needs to be more oversight, obviously, into doctors that are prescribing the hormones that they're taking. Because there's something going on here that is leading to them being incredibly violent, like the assassin of Charlie Kirk. That was a transgender thing that went on there. You know, the doctors are giving out the hormones too quickly to them.
I mean, once they commit the crimes, obviously you want to prosecute them then. But like that's obvious. But like, what about before they do that? Like,
well, we don't. This is not. You know, this
done?
is not Minority Report with Tom Cruise. We can't charge. We don't have a Department of Pre-Crime. But what I'm telling you is that obviously there's a lot of mental illness, but there's got to be something with the hormones that are triggering their rage and their mental illness. And you know, it used to be years ago. This changed a few years ago when all this transgendered stuff became in vogue. Years ago, there's always been people that got sex change operations and stuff. But before they would do it, it was a long process that would take 1 to 2 years, even more, of medical and psychological examinations and things like this. And now you can just show up at some doctor and get the hormones and get a sex change operation like you'd show up to get a facelift, a nose job, or a boob job. And there's no psychological investigation or testing or analysis being done. So that's got to have a lot to do with it.
Isn't RFK be working on this?
I don't know. I mean, he's working on a lot. The Trump administration, the Health and Human Services, they've banned, they call it gender reassignment. It's what used to be called sex change operations on children. It's been banned. So they've been making moves on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for the call.
All right. Well, no, you called me. So I'm thanking you for the call.
Well,
all right. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it. If I called you, then you would thank me for the call. If you're on hold, hang in there. This is a very strange thing. Mom Donnie, he has a tenant director, and this is her. They're going to start seizing people's private property, apparently. Oh, my goodness. especially white families. Oh my goodness. That is textbook communism. She's the tenant director appointed to the position by Zohan Mamdani, the mayor of New York City. You guys ever see Dr. Zhivago? It's about the Russian Revolution. You guys should see it. But I caution you, it's a very long movie. And spoiler alert on this 60-year-old movie, the ending sucks. But the rest of the movie is very good. And Dr. Zhivago, he goes home to Moscow after the Russian Revolution, and he finds that there's like 50 people living in his house, and there's some commie party boss for the block in his house and telling him he's got too much housing, he's got too much home, that he's got to have these other families move. That's what she's talking about. It's like Dr. Zhivago. And, but why is it just people's homes that have to be shared? Why not the stuff in her apartment, right? Maybe she's got some, I don't know, some cool computer or television that somebody likes. Should they be able to come in and take her TV and make that community property, or her computer and make it community property? Maybe someone likes this Jennifer Beals Flashdance outfit she's got on. Can they go in there and make that outfit that she's wearing shared property? Right? Well, why should she have two? She's got not one but two shirts. There are people that don't have any shirts, and she's got two on at the same time. Is it fair? I think we need to have shirt equity. Normally, some lunatic like this, you wouldn't even think about their stupidity. But she's been given a major position that's very important by the mayor of New York City. And she is talking about seizing people's homes, mostly white people, right? She said, the white people the first, then she said POC, that's people of color in lib speak. So they're, not only are they going to seize people's homes, they're going to do it in a racial way where they go after and seize the private property of white people first. And you know what's crazy is it's not that it makes perfect sense to her. It makes perfect sense to people around the mayor of New York. Okay. Yeah, that's the tenant. I'm not kidding. She's the tenant director for Mamdani for the city of New York. Have you ever heard someone say they don't care about money? Do you know who says that? They don't care about money? People that don't have any. Because people that have money typically have worked pretty hard for it. Or people that are so rich that they don't have to worry about it, but they care about money. And the people that don't care about property are people that don't have it. I'm a homeowner. My wife and I bought our house over 20 years ago, and we love our house. We worked very hard for it. And it costs money to upkeep it. Not just mortgage payments, but, you've got to maintain the home. It's an amazing thing. You know what happens when you own a home and something breaks? You got to go out and replace it. In the 20 years plus that we've owned this house, I don't know, we've had to buy maybe 3 central air conditioning units. How much that cost? Refrigerator stops working, got to buy a fridge, got to buy dishwashers. You do all those things. And then this girl's going to come along and take it, right? And, steal it. And, here's the thing. So say Mamdani's tenant director here comes in and seizes your property, steals your property. You still owe the bank on that mortgage, right? You ever been in a car accident and had your car totaled? Or had a car stolen? What happens when you have your car totaled or your car stolen? Does the bank say, oh, okay, no problem, you don't have to pay off that car loan? No, you still own the loan. That's why whenever you get car insurance, get the gap insurance. With your insurance company, you get in a car accident or your car's stolen and it's a total loss and you put in a claim, the insurance company doesn't pay you in the insurance claim what you owe to the bank on that car. They pay you what the market value is of that vehicle, which is always less than you owe if it's a new car. If you get the gap insurance, the gap makes up the difference, okay? Always get the gap insurance. It's really cheap. A lot of people don't get it, but I always get it. So if Mom Donnie's tenant girl here seizes your private property, you still owe that money to the bank that you have the mortgage with. That's right. Mom Donnie's not going to pay it. Oh, and by the way, who's going to pay the taxes to the city and the county that you've got to pay your property? Who's going to pay the property taxes? Is this girl going to pay? No. They're going to steal your property, your private property. You still owe the mortgage, and you still owe the property taxes. But they're going to take your property away from you. And Mom Donnie just appointed her to be in charge of such things. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, how are you? This is Madison calling from California. How you doing?
Hey,
Happy
Madison.
New Year.
Yes. What's up?
Okay, I wanted to ask you, what do the property owners have in New York? What is the recourse that they can take? This has to be unconstitutional.
I guess it'd be
for
tied
them
up in the
to come in
courts.
and try to seize their property.
But you know, just because you own property doesn't mean you can afford to hire a lawyer and go to court against a government body, which would be the city of New York, that has unlimited resources to pay lawyers that they have on staff. You would go bankrupt and may lose the house or the building if you have to hire private lawyers.
So they would have to take this to the Supreme Court then.
Eventually. You don't just go to the Supreme Court unless you're the president. You got to go through a lot of hoops in the appeals process. It could take years if they seize your property. It's insane.
Yeah, so that's really scary. Yeah, that's really scary. So I'm in California, and a lot of us are staying to fight because we know that Gavin's on his way out. And recently, he made an order that everybody in California can't have bushes and fences around their houses. They're starting in Zone B, which is somewhere in Los Angeles. And then he's trying to put another bill before he leaves that it's a rumored, I don't know if it's all the way true, on the ballot coming up this year, that if Californians try to leave, they want to fine you $10,000 a year per year for 10 years if you try to leave California.
Yes, no, I've heard him talk about that. Yeah,
that's unconstitutional.
Yeah. Well, the liberals don't care about the Constitution.
Right.
You know?
So when you sign your mortgage, though, your fence and everything is a part of your house. Isn't
No,
that?
you know, with the way, every state's different. Like in Florida, we have these things called HOAs, homeowners associations. 80% of Floridians, 80% of Floridians live in a house that's in an HOA, and they have tremendous power. You know, as an example, we wanted to put up a privacy fence on one side of our property here at home because we had some noisy neighbors, and the HOA would only so we had to get HOA approval. So they would only look at the proposal if we hired a fencing contractor, entered contract with them, and had the plans drawn up. And then they would look at it and decide if we could get the fence built. Well, for a contractor to do that, you got to pay for the fence, even if they don't build it. So if they didn't approve it, I have to buy the fence. So what my wife and I did is we put up privacy hedges that are really tall, like 12 feet high. We didn't have to get approval for that.
Right.
There's ways around it. No, there's really no true private property rights when it comes to such things. All over the country, you've got that. Like, I couldn't go paint my house fluorescent green.
If he does, so if Gavin tries to enforce that law, which everybody's like, no, then the HOAs of California could go up against that, right?
Yeah. Like as an example, if I can't go and paint my house any color I want to paint it, the HOA has a rule. And there's so there's things. But what they're talking about doing in New York is seizing your private property and giving it to the have-nots, which I guess are the illegals. I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're going to have to fight. That's really scary, and I'm a homeowner, and I think that every homeowner across the country should wake up to that, hoping, that doesn't come to
I hope they try to do
state,
it. New York City, they voted this guy in. So I have no sympathy for him. I have no sympathy for him. Let him feel the pain of Marxism. Democratic socialism is, it's like Andrew Dice Clay when he was new. He had this. I'm not going to tell the whole joke because of the language, but it was a joke about guys that said they're bisexual. He's like, there's no such thing as bisexual. You're either gay or you're not gay. Was the joke.
Right.
Well, democratic socialism is kind of like the gay guy who tells everybody he's bi. He's embarrassed and not able to admit that he's gay. Democratic socialism is communism. And his tenant girl there that he appointed is proof positive that that democratic socialism is Marxism, is communism, Soviet-style communism,
Mm-hmm.
Cuban-style
I
communism.
hope that his citizenship down the road is proven to not be legitimate and that they remove him. But in the meantime, hopefully this will wake up more of America.
I don't know. We can't even deport them. We
scary.
can't even deport the fake Maryland man, and he's he's MS-13 terrorist, and he's a slave trader, right? He transports, he's a human trafficker. We can't even deport that guy. How are you going to deport Ilhan Omar and Mamdani? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Take care. Take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name's Tommy. I'm calling from Seattle, Washington.
No. All right. Well, hey, Tommy, thanks for the call. Oh, man. If you're new to the program, make sure that you subscribe, all right? Oh, I wanted to play something for you here. Hold on. Let me pull this up. I meant to play this earlier when I was talking about Venezuela. Okay, this is the Fox News reporter who was covering the Maduro hearing today. His wife and him were arraigned. And, this is kind of a funny thing. It's cold, right, in New York. And everybody's in the studio but this guy. And he's standing in front of the courthouse. And it cracks me up. He's freezing his tail off. And he's probably like, why do I have to be out here in the cold? Why can't I be in the studio? He's not breaking any news that you couldn't get if you're at the studio with Fox, but they want it to look like he's, on the beat and he's out there free. I wonder if he pissed somebody off. I don't know. But anyway, he dropped something I thought was really interesting about Maduro and the judge in the courtroom. This was right after the arraignment hearing. Of course, I'm the president and all this stuff. But he gave some interesting information, this Fox News legal guy. Yeah. And and also Maduro was very defiant. He says, I'm the president of Venezuela. I'm a prisoner of war." And the judge that's overseeing this is 92 years old and a Clinton judge. And this guy from Fox, Paul here, he said he's 92, but he's tough. He's got his wits about him. You wouldn't know he's 92. But he slammed Maduro down. He was not sympathetic. He's like, this is not the time for that. This is just an arraignment hearing and all this stuff. You do all that later. So the judge was pretty tough on Maduro in the courtroom. Another thing came out about how the special forces knew that where exactly Maduro was. Someone in his circle around him was a CIA spy. The CIA had a spy in Maduro's circle. We don't know who they are, and they are who relayed the location of where he was exactly. All right, this is Pete Hegseth. Listen. Yep. That's right. Yeah, I mean, pretty amazing, and that managed decline. That's what they were doing, and they were doing it on purpose. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
How much for some head?
No, okay. If you're new, make sure that you subscribe to the program. Now, this here was just a little bizarre to me. This was over the weekend, and this is Zohan. Okay, now, yeah, I don't think President Trump's going to be taking his calls so much anymore. Who did he think he was? There's a major military operation was still ongoing, and this arrogant participation trophy guy, whose mommy and daddy have bought everything, including this mayor's race that he's ever wanted. There's a military action going on. He's the mayor of a city, and he's calling the president of the United States during a military operation to share with him his disapproval of it. Is he out of his mind? You know, he burned that bridge with President Trump there. I'm not saying that President Trump will never take his call again, but he's not going to get him on the phone so quickly now. The guy's very full of himself. And what Mamdani is trying to do there is put himself on the same level as the President of the United States. That's never going to happen, Zohan. Good luck. He's going to be a major failure. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. If you're on hold, well, I'll be back tomorrow morning on the next live stream. And if you stay on hold, you'll be first in line tomorrow morning when I go live. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Take care.